You know, when you're on a super long drive, the kind where you just sort of zone out with the music and you only snap back to reality because you realize the lines on the road are changing? Well, today, in this explainer, we're taking a close look at something most drivers just completely take for granted: road paint. But here's the thing. In Norway, those streaks of paint are absolutely not casual suggestions. We're decoding the Norwegian solid line, or as you're going to see it heavily featured on your driving exams, Sparrowlinger. We're not doing a dry textbook lesson here. We're talking about high-stakes, life-saving engineering literally painted right onto the asphalt. By the end of this, I promise you, you won't look at a line on the road the same way ever again. Okay, let's dive right into this. To truly get how Norwegian roads work, we have to establish the absolute baseline rule of Sperlinger. These solid lines are a strict physical and legal barrier. They're designed to completely cut off dangerous maneuvers in high-risk spots. If you're prepping for your theory test or honestly just trying to survive driving in Norway's crazy terrain, you have to treat this paint like it's a solid concrete wall. I mean, you can't phase through concrete, right? And legally, you cannot phase through a solid line. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the ultimate road barriers, dive into the physics of blind spots, decode those complex line combos, navigate hatched markings, and then finally look at the real-world consequences and your theory exam. Let's start right off with Section 1, the ultimate road barrier. Time to decode this visual language. In Norway, color is absolutely everything. The color of that line instantly tells you the direction of traffic, which is literally crucial for your situational awareness. Got a solid yellow line down the middle? That means oncoming traffic is heading right towards you, signaling extreme danger if you cross. But a solid white line? That separates lanes moving in the exact same direction. You'll usually see these right before a busy intersection, diving into one of Norway's many dark tunnels, or near a high-traffic crosswalk. Places where, a sudden lane merge could easily trigger a high-speed crash. And here is the golden, unbreakable rule. Regardless of whether that line is white or yellow, it is completely prohibited to drive on, over, or to the left of a solid line. Now, we've all been there. You're stuck behind a painfully slow driver, or maybe a cyclist, and you think, hey, I've got plenty of space, I can just squeeze past them. Well, the law completely disagrees with you. That solid line is an absolute boundary. Crossing it even a tiny fraction with one tire is a major violation. Which brings us perfectly to Section 2, the physics of blind spots. Let's look at the why and uncover the hidden math of Norwegian roads. Now, what's really interesting about this is the invisible calculation happening before you even turn the wheel. These lines aren't just tossed down randomly. They're deliberately placed where engineers calculate that the stopping sight distance just isn't enough. Imagine driving along a winding fjord or up a steep mountain hill. The road authorities, Statens vegvesen, have already been there. They've done the math. They take the speed limit and combine it with average human reaction times. If their math says you literally cannot see far enough ahead to safely pull off an overtake, boom, they paint a solid line. What you absolutely must take away from this is that a solid line entirely removes your discretion as a driver. If you cross a solid yellow line on a blind curve, you're risking a catastrophic head-on collision with a car you physically couldn't see. Crossing at the crest of a hill, you're basically driving blind into a downward slope. The road authorities have mathematically proven the area is unsafe. There is zero room for human guesswork or ego here. The thinking is already done for you. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds, because now we're decoding complex line combinations. You're going to see a double line system all the time out there, where one line is broken and the other is solid. Think of this as your own personalized rulebook. The only line that matters is the one closest to your car. Solid line on your side? You cannot cross it, period, even if the other side is broken. But if you keep driving and suddenly your line is broken while the far side is solid, you now have permission to cross and overtake if it's safe. It's this brilliant dynamic system that actually updates itself based on your visibility. And then we have the absolute ultimate barrier, the double solid line. Two solid lines side by side means nobody gets to cross, ever. You'll see these specifically on high-speed highways or areas with insane traffic volume. In these volatile zones, even a tiny misjudgment could trigger a massive, multi-vehicle pileup. It's a mutual agreement that everyone just stays exactly where they are. 0. That number right there is incredibly important in Norway. Sticking strictly to these predictable traffic patterns is the anchor of Norway's Vision Zero, or Nullvisjonen. It's a massive moral and safety framework adopted by the whole country, aiming for zero fatalities or serious injuries on the roads. By forcing this predictability through solid lines, the system is literally protecting us from each other.
Obeying the line means you are actively participating in Vision Zero.
All right, moving into Section 4, navigating hatched markings. This is the final category of road paint you'll face. These hatched markings are called Skrasstreckfeld. They're the diagonal striped patches of asphalt bordered entirely by solid lines. We use them to safely channel traffic into specific lanes or to create a safety buffer at crazy intersections. Now, listen closely. These hatched areas are a strict extension of the solid line barrier. They are definitely not extra road space for you to use. You must never, ever drive on these. I know it's incredibly tempting in stop-and-go traffic to just use them as a shortcut to bypass a line of waiting cars. Don't do it. Driving over a hatched area is a strict violation. In fact, if you pull a stunt like that on your practical driving test, it is an automatic, ruthless failure. The examiner will note it instantly, and your test is over right then and there. It basically shows a total lack of respect for road boundaries. Let's enter Section 5, Consequences and Theory Exam. Time to look at the real-world stakes here. The Norwegian police, Politiet, they do not mess around with solid line violations. Because crossing these lines is so directly linked to fatal head-on crashes, getting caught is going to hurt. You're looking at exceptionally heavy fines. Plus, you'll get penalty points, or prikker, slapped right onto your license. And if you create a really dangerous situation, the police will literally suspend your license right there on the spot. Just imagine being stranded on the side of a random rural road, watching a tow truck take your car away because you can't legally drive it anymore. So the crucial point is understanding how rigid the law is, but also knowing the one, and I mean one, rare exception. You are only allowed to cross a solid line if there is a completely stationary obstacle blocking your path, like a broken down car, a massive rock slide, a fallen tree, and even then, only with extreme caution. But here's the trick for the theory test. Unless the question specifically mentions a stationary obstacle, you treat that solid line like an impenetrable wall. So, I want to wrap up this explainer with a classic scenario you will almost definitely see on your theory test, and for sure in real life, the tractor dilemma. You're stuck behind a slow-moving tractor on a sharp curve. There's a solid yellow line right next to you. What do? It's so frustrating, you just want to inch around it. But remember the math and remember the law. The only correct answer is to stay exactly where you are, wait for the line to turn broken, and wait for clear visibility. Patience isn't just a virtue here, it's the law. So, next time you're gripping the wheel on a winding road, ask yourself, are you just casually following some paint, or are you trusting the hidden mathematics designed specifically to keep you alive?